Men are like predators. They can lie low for as long as it takes to get the perfect timing to ambush the prey. But, unlike animals in the wild, men have developed advanced, somewhat harmless tactics to lure and sometimes manipulate the women they desire into doing the things they want.
What color are your eyes?
They're blue.
Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like a man was trying to manipulate you into doing something you were not ready to do? Men have learned to use subtle methods that may appear harmless in the beginning, to lure and take advantage of unsuspecting women. These tactics could vary from something as simple as exchanging favors, to gaslighting, and guilt-tripping. Without raising any alarms, I could say that as a woman, it's important for you to be able to identify and recognize these tactics so you can easily avoid and even protect yourself from them and the men trying to use them on you. In today's session with Thinks Free, I want us to go over 9 common tactics used by men to manipulate women and how you can spot them.
She got balls, big lady balls.
By the end of this session, you will be more knowledgeable and better equipped to counter such tactics and keep yourself safe and happy. Number 9. Exploiting your insecurities.
So you're breaking up with me because I'm too blonde?
No, that's not entirely true.
Then what? My boobs are too big?
Many women, once they get to know a man and feel comfortable enough being around him, will start to open up about their insecurities and fears. In the event that he wants to manipulate you, this man will start to play on these insecurities. He will do this through what may appear as a joke or a subtle comment about something he knows will trigger you. For instance, he might make a nasty joke about a part of your body that he knows you feel insecure about just to get you to tone down and feel less attractive. If he succeeds, it will eventually make you feel like he's doing you a huge favor by loving you the way you are, and in return, you might find yourself doing more and more to please him. Manipulation is a lethal weapon of control. A man can easily control you by bringing up secrets from your past that you shared with him and making you feel like you can't do much without him. What men don't realize is that this kind of manipulation is a dangerous game because, in the long run, it will yield mistrust and resentment. It can even lead to a broken relationship or divorce. My take on this is that, before you open up to a man about your fears and insecurities, take your time and get to know exactly what kind of person he is, what he wants from you, and whether he is someone you can trust. As much as it may be difficult to read a person's intentions, taking your time and talking to friends, family, and colleagues can help. Social media pages can also help you find out what he's up to. Number 8. Gaslighting. Have you heard of this term before? It's making someone seem or feel unstable, irrational, and not credible, making them feel like what they're seeing or experiencing isn't real, that they're making it up, that no one else will believe them.
I've tried so hard to keep it within these walls, my own house. Because you would go out tonight, the whole of London knows it. If I could only get inside that brain of yours and understand what makes you do these crazy, twisted things.
Gregory, are you trying to tell me I'm insane?
It's what I'm trying not to tell myself.
Do you remember the time he constantly kept changing the truth and making you question your own judgment and sanity? Well, he was gaslighting. This is a manipulative tactic that a man can use to control a woman. It's a subtle, yet highly manipulative trick where someone makes you doubt your own memory and sanity by constantly planting seeds of doubt in your mind.
I can see you still, standing there, and saying, look at this letter, and staring at nothing.
What?
You had nothing in your hand!
In the heat of an argument, you might question him about something he said in the past, but he will go ahead and deny it even though you are certain he did. He might even go ahead and accuse you of being crazy or too sensitive to small issues. If your man is one who enjoys this kind of manipulation and you keep up with him, chances are, you might lose your mind. Gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse that you should not entertain. Open communication and therapy could help you get out of this kind of abuse and manipulation. Number 7. He will demean you.
The whispers were right. This girl is worthless.
He will make you feel small and less important in his life. Any opinion or suggestions from you concerning any issues will be brushed off. He will downplay your ideas, thoughts, and feelings and make you feel like a clown. For example, you might ask him why he came home late last night and his answer might be something like,
Please just go in there and prepare something for me to eat. I've been very hungry.
This invalidates the woman's questions and makes her feelings and concerns about the situation come through as irrelevant. This form of manipulation is subtle and usually hard to spot. But you need to keep your eye out for any signs. Your opinion in any related matters and your voice should be heard and your concerns addressed accordingly. Number 6. Issuing threats. Some men, after trying all other softer tactics and still can't get what they want, will resort to issuing threats. These threats could vary from verbal and physical violence to even attempting to quit and end the relationship if his demands are not met.
You're breaking up with me? I thought you were proposing.
Proposing? Elle.
As much as we may choose to bury our heads in the sand about this type of manipulation, it's unfortunate that it happens quite often in so many relationships. This type of manipulation is not just experienced in romantic relationships only, it could happen at the workplace where your superior threatens to sack you or deduct your salary if you do not give in to his demands. It could even come from a father to a daughter. Threats from someone you love or look up to as a figure of authority can be really unfair because they could mess with your mental health and well-being. Young girls grow up timid and fearful if they are brought up with such a man. If you or someone you know is in a situation where they are receiving any form of threats, it's important that you seek redress and take immediate action before the perpetrator makes true of his threats. It is not okay for anyone to take away your power and use fear to control and manipulate you. Number 5. Coercion. Have you ever felt pressured into doing something you didn't want to do?
Z, get back here.
Leave me alone. Get away.
Honey, we're here to take you home.
I'm not going home with you.
That was coercion. This is when someone tries to influence your behavior through the use of intimidation, force, and threats, and it is also another way that a man can use to manipulate a woman. For example, he might coerce a woman into getting intimate with him by withholding his affection, threatening to leave the relationship, or even using blackmail such as threatening to leak videos or images of private moments with the woman. Coercion as a tool of manipulation could have very serious consequences, including feelings of shame and guilt. If pushed too far, it could result in depression. Before getting into a relationship or engagement of any kind with any man, it's important that you get to know and understand his demands and what is at stake before you agree to anything. Number 4. Ghosting and isolation. One other way that a man can use to manipulate and gain control over a woman is by isolating or ghosting her. He might go silent on you for days without letting you know the reason, and this puts you in a place where you have to constantly chase him trying to know if everything is okay. Isolation might come in the form of him asking you to stay away from friends, cutting off contact with anybody whom he thinks might influence you to upgrade your life, and even limiting your movement in and out of the home. As harmless as this may seem in the beginning, the aim here is usually to cut your access to anything that he thinks is beneficial to you as a woman so that you can be dependent on him for everything. In some cases, isolation and ghosting might be a form of punishment for failing to follow his direct orders or failing to fulfill one of his recent demands. If you allow this to go on for long, you will become a slave, and you will start to feel caged and weak.
This boy beat you, treats you like nothing. Why do you want to be with him?
You don't understand.
The worst of it all is that this type of manipulation is difficult to spot and address because even your close friends will assume that you're avoiding them because you want to stay close to your man and family, which is not the case. If you ever feel isolated and controlled, find a way of reaching out to a close friend or family member and letting them know that you are being isolated from them against your will. They could find a clever way of reaching out and appealing. If that doesn't work, then maybe you may seek legal help to address the issue.
Now perhaps you will understand why I cannot let you meet people.
Number 3. Guilt tripping.
You broke the rules. There are no rules anymore.
Manipulation is a dangerous sport that most men love to play, and guilt tripping a woman is among the many cards they have at hand. Guilt tripping is like using reverse psychology to get the woman to do exactly what they want. It could come in the form of language such as,
"Just tell me the truth.
Oh, what?
Did you ever love me?"
I don't know.
This is a form of manipulation where the abuser makes the victim feel a lot of guilt and shame for not doing as they ask or yielding to their demands. A man will guilt trip you into feeling like you owe him something for a favor he has been extending to you, even if that favor doesn't call for another favor in return.
Literally trying everything possible to try to save what we have. And you've been throwing yourself at Jeremy.
That's not fair.
Men will most often use this tactic on women with low self-esteem. Developing self-love and building strong boundaries around you are just some of the ways you can reject guilt-driven manipulation from a man. Number 2. Showing off and using cash.
It's pretty good.
Nice car.
Money is the biggest enabler in human life and definitely a huge factor to consider when getting into or trying to keep a relationship. And as such, it is no secret that it can be used as a manipulative tool in a relationship. Some of the ways a man will use the money to manipulate you include, but are not limited to giving you access to his accounts, taking you on vacations, and buying you expensive gifts. This sounds harmless, right? At this point I know you're even thinking, is that not what a caring man is supposed to do? Well, if he has no ill motivation behind it, then you're good to go. However, most men will do these things in an attempt to pin you down and in hopes of having a woman do what he wants in the future. Another way he could manipulate you is by promising and giving you false hopes of financial security. This is the point where he will ask you to do away with your job or business and stay at home because he will provide everything you need. If you fall for this, he immediately gains power and control over you because you suddenly become fully dependent on him and you can't do much without him. So next time a man is willing to throw so much cash around you, pause for a while and ask yourself why. And finally, religion. Religious books and doctrines have so many do's and don'ts when it comes to the relationship between a man and a woman. Some men have taken their time to study these doctrines and verses and give them a crooked interpretation that suits them every time they need to manipulate and take advantage of a woman. I'm sure once in your life as a woman, you've heard a man quote a verse from a religious script and then end up giving it an interpretation that outright spells manipulation. I do not wish to go into so much detail, but I will let you sit and ponder over it. Final thoughts. The purpose of our session today was not to paint men as people who manipulate and abuse women. Men are great people and most of them are built to serve, provide, and protect, but there are some who are not so good. This session was meant to identify and discuss some of the ways that the not-so-good men could use to manipulate a woman, how to know when you are being manipulated, and how to avoid it. I hope you gained some insight from this session and that you will use the information to protect yourself and others around you from harm. In any situation you may face, you are never alone and you should always reach out for help. In the comments below, let me know, have you been a victim of manipulation? What type was it and how did you handle it? Someone here might just learn from your experience and avoid the same. Thanks for watching and let's meet again in our next session.